In this video, I have collected all the theories about the new characters that we will see very soon. And yes, they 100% will be, because Gooseworks itself wrote that in the second episode, we will meet a new character that we have never seen before. Very soon, we'll be getting the second episode of the amazing digital circus, and that means that we should have a closer look at who will appear in the new episode. A lot of people have mentioned that there will be a new character or characters, but almost no one has talked about new NPCs. Yes, there will likely be new characters in the new episode, but they will be people who have put on virtual reality goggles and entered an amazing digital circus. Maybe the characters Caine created aren't that interesting to many people, but if we imagine Caine creating some new dangerous enemy, we've met one enemy before. The Gloink Queen appeared in the first episode, though she wasn't very dangerous. Such characters can't be taken seriously because they are just ordinary NPCs. But I'll give you an example. Suddenly, all the characters refuse to participate in some new task from Caine. And you and I have already met one example. Caine will act tough in such a case. Remember when Zooble didn't want to participate in the first challenge? Caine said she had a choice, and if she didn't want to participate, she could choose not to. And before long, the opposition to the daily routine of the circus made itself felt. Caine set things up to force Zooble to participate in the first challenge, and eventually the Gloinks took Zooble apart and took her to their queen. This situation hints to us that going against the rules in an amazing digital circus can end badly. So, to create someone really scary and dangerous, you have to really do something bad and violate the rules of the digital circus. And as we've learned from this situation, Caine can get his revenge. And by the way, if we're talking about the Gloink Queen, she's definitely going to make an appearance in episode 2. This was tweeted by Gooseworks herself. So what could this mean? NPCs could reappear, regardless of whether they were killed by Abstracted or taken out by Caine. But I have an immediate question. Can an Abstracted be revived again? As we remember, in the first episode, the Abstract infected the Gloink Queen, after which we don't know her fate. By the end of the episode, Caine had only fixed the characters, not the NPCs. And we don't know where Caine took the Gloink Queen, whether he kept her or just took her out of the digital circus. Assuming he left her behind, she will most likely move on to new stages of abstraction and eventually become completely abstracted. Could this mean that episode 2 will have something to do with abstraction? Maybe we'll learn exactly how it happens in the example of the Gloink Queen, or learn the stages of abstraction, or maybe the main characters will need to cure her altogether. This is still unknown, but immediately there are many theories on the subject, as we have no idea how exactly the process occurs, and how from a small character can turn into a huge monster. What size then could the abstracted queen of the Gloinks be? Or do large characters become small after abstraction, which is unlikely. Now let's talk about the new characters, which will be from the real world. I have a theory that in order for someone new from a character to come in, one of the existing characters has to abstract. An obvious example would be with Pomni. As we all know, she's a jester and very much a clown. And before Pomni, there was Kaufmo, the clown, who abstracted just the day before Pomni arrived. As if each character is a replacement for the previous one, there's a hint that this is how the digital circus is programmed. We also get to see another clown who was in the amazing digital circus, and he was most likely here before Kaufmo. Another example I saw was Kinger and Quinny. Many people think they were husband and wife or brother and sister, but I think that's a complete lie. It's more likely that when Quinny abstracted, Kinger came in. Yes, and even more so, it's safe to assume that they would have argued with each other constantly, because Quinny is a black chess piece and Kinger is white. And as we know, in chess, there is a white versus black confrontation. The third similarity I found was the animals. Everybody's favorite Jax is a hare, and on one of the doors, we can see an abstracted dog and a dragon. So most likely when one of them abstracted, Jax came in. Next, we can look at Zooble, which I believe is a toy, because as we are told, she can change her parts, just like a Lego constructor. Well, we can also see an abstracted toy, like it's really some kind of interconnectedness. You can ask me about Gangle and Regatha, but I'll tell you about that too. There are still characters that can't be seen in detail. They're just blurbs, and there are probably also some who look like Gangle and Regatha among them. So it's a very interesting theory. And maybe we will be told something about it in the future, since the action in the first episode took place in the here and now, and no one shared their story. Speaking of character history, Gooseworks wrote that a separate series will be made for each character in the amazing digital circus. Perhaps that's where we'll be introduced to characters we don't know about. So, for example, Kinger has been living in the circus for a long time, and there are probably a lot of people abstracted from his experience. And he was familiar with these characters, which means if there's an episode about him, there could be a lot of new characters added to the show. Now, let's talk about the number of them. At the moment, there are 6, but Gooseworks has said that each episode will focus on a different character. The question remains, where to get 2 more characters? Perhaps Kane and Bubble can be counted as characters too, but as we know, they are artificial intelligence. They are not human, and there probably won't be a series about them. And now, we've reached the most interesting part. These are concepts of new characters and drawings from the developers themselves, as well as fan arts. For example, a character named Jaxie was created, which is very similar to everyone's favorite Jax, and the fan base really liked this character. But Gooseworks itself reacts to such posts and tells us that all characters that are published by fan accounts will not be added to the series. The only good news is that Gooseworks is looking at the ideas of fans, and she may have a certain image in mind that she can use for a new character in the amazing digital circus in the future. I think it's also important to break down the old posts from Glitch with the various circus characters in more detail. They feature all of our familiar Kane, Pomni, Regatta, Jax, Kinger, Zubul, and Gangle. In addition to them, we are introduced to a few other interesting characters. A strange frog immediately catches our eye. It is unclear what this character can be associated with, but perhaps he will appear in the series. A little higher, you can see the head of a strange snowman, and we were shown only the head without the torso. Perhaps this character is still being finalized, so we were not shown him completely. In full height here, we can see an interesting doll, as if it is fully developed and will be in the future in the series. We can also see a dragonfly and a sock-like character. The dragonfly looks like it's almost finished as well. Personally, I think that out of all these new characters, Doll and Dragonfly might appear on the show. But I'm confused about the only issue. As I said at the beginning of the video, Gooseworks said that we haven't seen the new character anywhere yet, so there may be no one from this drawing. What do you think of the new characters? Be sure to write your opinion in the comments. Also, don't forget to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel. Good luck to everyone, and bye.